that tour was fabulous, and I think it's a brilliant venue to be holding an event like this in. So thank you very much to Mike and the Nuvola team for inviting us. It does feel a genuine privilege to be here, I think, today. I've got some colleagues with me as well. There's Beth over there, Carl and Stuart, so to get a chance to chat with those guys after, hope that'll be useful to you. I'd also just like to touch on one thing as well, that I don't normally look like this. I'm doing Movember, and it was a bit strange when I walked in and Mike didn't even recognise me. And somehow, inadvertently, I seem to have grown a moustache that is entirely suited to the 1940s era. So I feel that I wouldn't stand out at all if I was part of Bomber Command. And in the office, I've got this. I've earned a nickname recently, Squadron Leader. So now we're the Squadron Leader Bomber. So anyway, tally ho. Let's go. Yes. So what do we do? Eve Networks. We have a voice platform where we do a cloud-hosted phone system. We do SIP trunking, and we do Teams integration for our cloud phone system, along with Teams direct routing, and that's a kind of real core message for today, I guess. We also run our own connectivity network, so we integrate or connect up with all the major carriers, so we do everything from SAGEA, FTTP, all the way to Ethernet and wide area networks. As a business, we go back. We trace our roots way back to the late 90s, but Eve was really formed after we sold our major telecoms business we had about 3 years ago, and we rebranded the platform. So we've been operating our own voice platform for about 8 years now. Rather than talk you through the product, I thought in this environment, if you were to decide to take any of our services, you're more likely to do that, or you'll hopefully be more interested in finding out what we're like as an organisation. Because if you do decide to take our product out to market, then you'll be working in partnership with us and with Nuvola, and we take that really seriously. We think it is a serious decision to make to sell a product, because it isn't just about what's the price, how do I sell it. It's really about how do I ensure I inform the customer when I'm selling the product, how do I install and deliver the product, and then how do I support the product. And that is really where the relationship with someone like Nuvola, delivering those professional services and giving you all the tools to do that, are really important. So there's two things I'd like to do to explain a little bit about us, or give you a bit of an insight into us as an organisation. First of all, I'd like to say that a core driver for us as a business, our absolute ethos, is really around making it really simple to use our products. So in the portal, it's really, really easy. And the idea of that is it should be easy. We push out as much capability as possible, as far to the edge as we possibly can, to ensure that anybody who's interacting with the product, who needs to do something, if they can, through permissions or commercial agreements, has the power to do that. So if it's your end user who needs to do a simple call divert, they can do that really easily. But if it's your engineering teams who are going to configure a new setup or add new users, we want that to be really simple for you to do as well. And that really is about reducing the burden on delivery of a product and the cost of supporting the product as well. And that means there's less of a burden on you from your customer, less of a burden on our distribution partners, and less of a burden on us as well as an organisation delivering it. And then the second thing I'd like to tell you about is I'd like to tell you a bit of a story. So we had a challenge. Now our challenge was not as significant as the code breaking that we're trying to do here and ensure that D-Day went off successfully with misinformation. But we did have a reasonably significant challenge that I'd like to share with you. And that was our call recording platform. So we've been operating this, as I said, for about 8 years. And as you can imagine, a voice platform is made up of lots of components. And one of those components was the Oracle call recording platform that we operated, which was causing us some real difficulty. We had lots of buggy issues. Customer experience was still okay, customers weren't impacted, but it was taking a lot of resource internally in our business. And it wasn't delivering one of our core values, which is to be exceptional. We don't think the product was delivering an exceptional quality of service. And it was coming up as a topic in virtually every management meeting of how do we solve this, what's the problem? We've got so much, we're nursing this platform along effectively. So we decided to look at this differently and think how can we use our skills to come up with a solution to break this problem. So I had conversations with our head of product architecture, with our head of software development, and we brought in one of our lead developers, our most senior developer, and said, how can we solve this problem? Can we build an alternative to this? Can we think differently about this? And we gave them a few weeks to go and think about this challenge and come up with a solution. And we've got our boffins on this problem. And luckily that was, I think it was December 2020, so we had a quieter period over Christmas. They could go away and they had 6 weeks to come back with an answer. And the great news was they came back and said, not only do we think we can do this, and we prototyped the concept, we think we can make it better. We could make it better in terms of functionality. We could improve the customer experience. I won't go into the details, but lots of little things to improve the customer experience. We could make it faster. So in terms of how it's encoded and converted those files and made them available for the customer would be a quicker experience. And not only that, we would make the compression much more significant on those files so that the delivery of that would be quicker, but also the storage capacity for us. We obviously store hundreds and hundreds of years worth of recording at any one time, and that's a significant capacity. So we'd make some big savings there. They could add what we call a watermark to the file as well. So the file has encoding that we can prove that that is the original call recording. So at end to end, at the point it is downloaded from our system, we can guarantee that is the original recording unedited. So that could be useful in a legal environment. And then finally, we could massively improve the encryption. It was interesting on the tour just then listening to how the Enigma machines worked and what the job of Bletchley Park was in order to try and find the key. And having done a little bit of research on the Enigma machines, I believe they were first developed by the Germans in the 20s, and with those 3 wheels inside, I'm sure we'll see more when we see the machine, there was only about 100,000 variable keys initially in order to set the machine up. Well, I'm sure many of you know how about brute force. You just literally try every version, you can break the code. And that's, with 100,000, that's probably pretty straightforward. 100 people, 100 cryptographers doing 1,000 each could probably crack that in a matter of hours. But then talking to Dr. Kenyon on the way around there, he was explaining that by the end, the Enigma machine was operating at a 78-bit, which is 2 to the power of 78, so a vastly large number. I think he described it as 100,000 million. But today's modern standards, we use 256-bit, which is a number which is vastly larger than that, and one that's almost indescribable. We're not even talking about the number of grains of sand on the planet here. We're talking about a number that is something expected to be something like the number of atoms in the known universe. So you're not going to brute force that, which is why today's security is more focused around ensuring keys aren't stolen or decrypted. Anyway, how we apply that is fourfold. We encrypt the call as it's recorded and stored. On that conversion and the movement into long-term storage, that's encrypted. The file itself, the MP3 file itself, is encrypted, and so is the disk is encrypted. And that was a significant step up of the level of security compared to the platform that we operated previously. So I hope that gives you a bit of the way we think about trying to solve a problem. Following that, although we've been around for a long time, our developers have been doing this for 8 years, our confidence has continued to grow. And so we've been looking at other ways we can enhance the platform, and we've been responding as well to partners' requests. And one of them, for example, was hot desking. A partner came to us. It was an opportunity for a few hundred seats. They specifically needed a new hot desking feature, and we developed that in a matter of weeks, rolled it out, and they won the opportunity. So I think the point is we're very responsive as well to our customers' needs. We've added call recording into our Teams product, so to our Teams routing, you can now take call recording in there as well. We launched enhanced call intrusion during the last year, so improved our the call barge capability and how that works. And we launched our own call reporting suite, which is included in the licensing as well, and I'll show you a little bit of what that looks like in a moment. Coming in 2024, we're currently alpha testing a new softphone application, so that'll be for desktop, Mac, iOS and Android, and that should be in beta testing before Christmas, and we're aiming to have that available to some partners in Q1 of 2024. We're offering an enhanced call reporting platform, so that will be an additional charge, but this is to get us more into the environment. As Mike said earlier, we all kind of know where we sit in the marketplace and the type of customers we serve, and we're not in that large call centre space, but I think by enhancing our call reporting, we can become more usable in that environment. The other interesting thing we're launching will be our recording studio. So this will be an AI-based tool within the platform. You simply log into, you can put your customer put their web address in, the AI will go and read their website, come back with some suggested words for the IVR, for messages on hold, for music on hold, etc. In terms of the tone that the website uses, in terms of the messaging that comes across. You simply edit that, hit record, and it will generate an AI voice in a huge selection of voices you can choose. And if you want a professional recording, you can ask for that to happen. That takes 2 or 3 days, but then that will load straight back in to the platform. You can choose it for your IVR or for your call queue messaging, etc. So we think that's a really cool thing that's coming. And then finally, we're going to be launching a private cloud platform in 2024 as well. So that's utilising our own infrastructure and to offer cloud services to partners. So something we'll be talking to you guys about further as well. That's just a quick look at what our call reporting looks like as it stands, so included with every one of our licenses, and some fairly standard reporting, but it's really usable, and we've had some fabulous feedback from users of the platform. And then the final part is to talk to you a little bit about Teams. But before I hand over to my colleague Stuart, just like to say that hopefully, I know it's been a bit of a whistle stop, and I'll try to go pretty quick. Hopefully I've given you a bit of an indication of what we're like as an organisation, the way we think about the importance of partnership, and that hopefully some of you will choose to do some work with us through Nuvola. Quick hand over to talk about Teams to Stuart.
Thank you very much, Commander. Thank you. As Steve mentioned, my name's Stuart, I'm Head of Sales here at Eve. I just want to continue towards the end of this presentation / lecture. A bit about, again, how we take on challenges head on to deliver customer excellence for both the partner and the end user. So I just want to start off a little bit. Obviously, March 2020, the world changed, don't want to go back to it. However, this platform took off. I was actually in a different business at the time, and almost overnight we used this straight as our default for both voice and video as well. But what I did, it actually goes, I suppose it gives insight. It gives insight into colleagues' inability to get dressed for meetings, but also what it did give us was, I suppose, as businesses, insight into how you could use this platform for external communications. Again, as Steve was mentioning earlier, we looked at that challenge and go, how can we do this? How can we do it better? At the time, it was engineers going through pages of PowerShell, using multiple platforms to get to what was ultimately the correct outcome, but it was labour intensive and time consuming. So we brought our engineers in and said, look, this is the problem, how can we solve this, how can we make this simple? So they took that away and then they came back and said, okay, we've got all the automated processes in place, there are APIs available. So what they were then able to do is to bring that Teams, embed that into our platform, so you now have one single location for Eve hosted voice, Eve SIP, and now Eve direct routing. Next few slides, I'm just going to take you through in terms of how that looks, but to give you a real life situation in terms of where this could have worked. A year ago, I was at a partner event and spoke to a prospect who was just off the back of a 2-week installation of a 200 user direct routing solution. I thought, 200 users, 2 weeks, that's crazy. So we then started talking about it through in terms of what Eve offer and what we can do. We actually went through to do a demo, and we mapped out the solution that he had spent 2 weeks on. With our platform, that could have been delivered in 15 minutes. His face was, he was in awe of what he was able to do, but also quite disappointed that we probably hadn't spoken a few weeks earlier. But you know, as a blonde-haired fellow said, them's the breaks. So if I can just take you through to just how this platform actually looks, and again, going back to that simplicity, which is what's core to everything that we do. You would simply log on to onto the Eve platform, and via this page, the Teams Auto Config page, you log into your Microsoft account. You are then presented with all the available users, all of the resource accounts you have, and it's as simple as toggling on and off. You can select call recording, you select which users you want, you select DDIs. You hit save, and that's it. This now goes, the platform, the way our developers have built it, it will go build the users within the Eve environment, it builds the users at the Microsoft level, and this process here takes, I'm going to say 90 seconds. I'm doing it at disjustice. I've seen it done in less than a minute. It takes 90 seconds, and then you're done. So that user then has that dial pad within the Teams application to make those outbound calls and to take those inbound calls as well. Really, that's the end of our presentation. As Steve mentioned, Carl, Beth and Steve are here to take any questions. We'd love to obviously have a more in-depth conversation around who we are, what we can do, and how we can work together in the future. And I took this last bit so I could take Steve's applause.